There's something in the financial world that I feel like I'm constantly being scared about, or at least someone's trying to scare me about. And it's, am I going to be a victim of fraud or identity theft? Well, we're going to try and cut through some of the fear, but also give you some tangible action items on today's episode. Are you at risk of having your identity stolen or becoming a victim of fraud? We're going to break it all down with Scott on today's episode. Let's get to it.
Let us help you reach your peak in retirement. It's time for Your Retirement Elevated.
Looking forward to today's episode. Walter Storholt with Scott Dugan once again. Scott, talking cybersecurity today. This should be pretty fun.
Yes, and I know if you've been listening, we talked about cybersecurity not too long ago, but actually that was such a popular episode, and I thought, you know what, we're going to talk about it again. And then the team got together, and actually we're going to talk about an event we're having, a live event here in July. And then we put together some visuals to download. So we came with a lot more ammunition today on talk about cybersecurity.
It was so popular. Not only are we doing another episode about it, but you've got a live event and a guest speaker coming. So many cool things are going to be kind of emanating from this. So this should be pretty cool.
We had over 60 families sign up within the first 8 hours.
Wow, that is crazy.
And we didn't offer booze or food, so we figured it's pretty good info.
You can get 60 families there easy if you do that. So you did it the hard way.
Very easy. So,
that's amazing. I'm curious, before we dive into the nitty and gritty, like you talked about all that interest and a lot of feedback from your first cybersecurity episode that we did a few months back. What have been some of the things people have said about it? Or is it just that, yeah, I am scared about this, I want to know more? Or are they fearful? Are they just interested? Where it seems to be the feedback?
I think it's a combination of interested, a little bit of the unknown, a little bit fearful. I think, all the talk about AI and the unknowns there are big. Fraud and scams today are so much more complex, than they were, even 5 years ago. And so I think it's causing people to second guess things. Perfect example of longtime client.
Yeah.
We chatted, we're changing a few of the strategies around. And the thing with, financial planning and strategy changes, it usually involves paperwork, right? And gone are the days of coming in and signing things. It's all digital. And so I talked to the client. I said, this is what I propose. He goes, yeah, I like that. I said, the team will be calling and, get it all done. So we do everything through DocuSign. So it's all electronic through email. And we pick up the phone and we call and either talk to the person or leave a message. Hey, you're going to get an email. It's going to say this. And so it's not disjointed. Well, what happened is that one of our team members, newer team members, Joe, called and left a message for this client to say, hey, want to let you know they're going to have a DocuSign. Here's what's going to happen. And so he's like, okay, well, no problem. It's the end of the day. He gets the message. He clicks on it, looks at it, signs it. And then it kind of dawns on him, is like, wait a minute. I didn't know that there was a Joe that worked at Elevator Retirement Group. He's like, wait a minute, that form. He read the title of the form. He goes, what did I just do? And so he's just thinking of like, oh my gosh. And then it came up as our 800 number for some reason. Our toll-free number showed up on his cell phone.
Okay.
So then it just started to kind of compound through the evening. And I get a phone call early the next morning, and I get a copy of the voicemail. And I called Rebecca and said, don't worry. Yes, that Joe's our employee.
Yeah.
Nothing's wrong. But and he's a very sharp individual, very savvy.
Yeah.
But I think just the climate that we're in right now, people are a little nervous when it comes to using all this technology.
Yeah. Well, good on that client for being just aware and having those little spidey senses kind of go off and to start to inquire. But what an illustration of just how sophisticated and the different shapes that these attacks sometimes take, and we've got to be prepared to defend against those. By the way, for anybody interested in learning a little bit more about the variety of scams that are out there, we did cover that in depth on one of our previous audio episodes. We'll link to that in the show notes or the description of today's show, so you can go check that out. We're also going to have information about the event. We'll be talking about that coming up in case people want to learn more about that. And we have a downloadable PDF that's going to cover even more than what we do on the show today. We'll make that available for people as well. We'll show you some screenshots of it during the episode today, but we'll also make that available for folks to download too, Scott. So I don't know. I know it's too much to be able to cover in one episode, but what do you think is the most important things to communicate about figuring out if you're going to be a victim of fraud or having your identity stolen?
Yeah, and that's why the team sourced and put together kind of this checklist that are downloadable, and it really breaks things into cyber threats that are out there, common scams, and then any miscellaneous things. So I thought we'd hit some of those high points here.
Okay,
definitely download it, print it off, spend time looking through it. But I think the first one under cyber threats, and I have been preaching about this for years, is just password usage. And with multiple websites today, the days of being able to use the same password and write it on a 3x5 card, you just can't. I would encourage you not to do that. We use something called LastPass in our office. We've got the business version. I know on my LastPass password manager, I have over 750 saved passwords for websites. And
it's amazing how many you start realizing how many logins you have to things when you get a program like that, right?
It is. And the great thing about that, and I'm not pitching them as the solution, but I vetted it as one of the best ones out there.
Yeah.
But now I have all unique passwords for each website. It tracks those. I have one very unique login to get into LastPass. I've got a very intricate filing system that I've got them all broken into, and so does all of our employees and team members, because I think that's just one more layer of security in today's world. So again, unique passwords, a password manager, I think in today's world is extremely important. And the great thing about the latest versions of the password managers is that if you could have them on your laptop, your iPad, your cell phone, as long as you have that main password, it's going to fill those in for you no matter where you go. So if nothing else, please investigate this. Google, I know people, Google kind of gets a bad rap, but I tell you, Google, the Apple password manager, those companies have billions of dollars. They spend a tremendous amount of money encrypting all that information. So they're a good free example of something that you want to look at. And I think that the next step after password manager, I know it's kind of a pain, but that two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
I mean, I know.
Great for personal use, really annoying with business use, right? And trying to do that when you've got other people also using logins and business accounts and things like that.
It is. And I wish I could say we had one piece of software, one tool that we use for everything. We have multiple softwares that don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
And so in a review meeting or a strategic planning meeting, we may need to get into 4 or 5 different sites. And that's why we all have Apple Watches to get the codes. It's not because we want to be fashionable and techie, but we have to be able to get those codes. And I don't like cell phones in meetings, so here we are. So I think that is another, especially on important sites, to make sure that you've got that two-factor authentication set up.
Yep.
And then you said it. You be careful of sharing credentials with people.
Yeah.
The other problem that brings up is the fact if somebody changes it and they don't tell you, then it's a pain. And that's one great thing about a password manager. If that password is shared through that system, if you change it, it automatically changes it. So you're not emailing it or texting it, things like that. And so if you just did those, that would go a long way to help protecting yourself.
Yeah, without much effort, right? Just a little bit of changing maybe your systems or your habits a tiny bit, and you've made a big difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I won't go too deep in it because the gentleman that we're going to have come and speak at our events is an expert. He's got all the certifications under the sun, runs technology for an extremely large enterprise, billions of dollars under management. So it's a serious 1,000+ employees. When you're looking at, or where we're seeing our clients probably being most susceptible is getting a phone call or getting a pop-up that says, hey, or an email, your credit card's expired on your such and such, please call us to update it. That should be fishy out of the gate.
Is your retirement journey truly tailored to your needs? In his book, Exceptional Retirement: Tools and Strategies for Retiring on Your Own Terms, Scott Dugan addresses the crucial questions all retirees ask. Discover the power of a clear financial decision-making process that can prevent major retirement mistakes and unlock exceptional opportunities. In the book, Scott outlines 4 essential questions that guide retirees toward successful outcomes. Don't miss out on key insights that could define your future. Available now on Amazon. Click the link in the description of this episode to get your copy of Exceptional Retirement.
Yeah, odd links, things like that. I've been getting a bunch recently from like a text, and it looks like it's from Empower. You know, the Empower, like
yes, 401k company.
401k company. And I've never done anything with Empower, but I remember my mom had Empower, and she just recently retired. And so I thought, well, maybe she accidentally used my phone number because I've helped her with stuff before, and maybe that's why, I'm getting there. And I get mail all the time from my parents because when we sold our last house, we ended up staying with them for like 2 months, and so had our mail routed, and it got things all haywired and crisscrossed. So I get tons of their mail at my house now, and they get a bunch of my mail at their house. It's just never gotten straightened out very well. So I was like, oh, maybe that's her. So I called her and I was like, are you trying to log in? I'm getting these texts with these codes, and yeah, just so fishy. But there's like some little link to something in the past that makes you question and say, maybe this is legit. And you can just see how easy it is to get tripped up on that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And so you've got to be careful in those days. And I think one of the big ones on this was like cyber threats is if you share a tremendous amount of personal information on social media, that's a treasure trove of information to piece together. Not only can, if your settings are incorrect or off, can they see all of your connections? So you could be getting messages from people you think you know. And so just be very careful what you share, because you think about the security questions, place of birth, mother's maiden name. If you're not careful, you could inadvertently expose that through social media, people to pick through that. And it's not only human beings doing it, they have bots scraping,
figuring this stuff out
to collate information.
So back when I worked in radio, Scott, specifically in radio, we used to always have to be very careful whenever we would fill in for another co-host, because it was live radio and you couldn't get on the air and be like, oh, so-and-so's on vacation for a week. They'll be back soon. I'm filling in for now. Because then you just broadcasted to thousands and thousands of people that a well-known radio DJ co-host is not at his house right now.
That's saying, people post on vacation.
Yeah.
Hey, look, and I get it. We're trying to share those memories, but yeah, you've just let the world know that potentially your house is vacant.
Yes. So
and
that's the same. It's the same problem that we've had forever. It's just happening in all these new ways, and that's the hard part.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so again, go through those cyber threats and the common scams. Again, a lot of this phone call, unsolicited phone calls from no governmental agency calls. The IRS is not going to call.
Just remember that.
Yeah.
Social Security, none of those guys are calling you.
No, it's going to be mail for the most part. And so again, anytime that you get a phone call, you got to be suspect. We talked about it on the podcast, the audio podcast, with the gift card scams. Oh, grandma, I got in trouble. I need help. Having a family code word is a smart idea.
Yep.
To have say, hey, absolutely. What's the code word? That's going to ferret that out pretty quickly to be able to do that. And then big one, Medicare representative, especially that's, the 65 plus market. Be very, very careful. Medicare is not giving you a call. That should be like a red flag right off the bat.
Yeah.
To do that. So again, and if this does happen, you definitely want to contact any financial institution. If you get a strange phone call, strange email like that Empower, if you did have an Empower account and got a funky email or text, you probably want to call Empower and say, hey, here's the situation. Just want to alert you to the fact that something's happening.
But be sure to look up the actual Empower or whatever company number, not the number they tell you to call in the text. So,
yes, that's very true because technology today, they can do quite a bit with that.
Yeah. They could even make it look like the number, but you click on it and actually is a different number. All sorts of little tricks like that.
Yeah. And usually, what I do if I get an email, I'll go hover over the subject line or the email address above it.
Okay. Yeah.
And that actually will show you what email address it's from. And it's usually always some funky, like I won't say the company. I got one earlier this week from a tile company that I did business with 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It looked legit, but then I hovered over the email and it was some really strange Gmail account.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was masked with that tile company's that looked like the corporate email. Yep. And so that's just this week. So
they change one letter and it slips right by you and they get
it
you.
It happens.
Yeah.
And so again, we're just hitting some high points here. And this podcast really is to make sure everyone knows that we've got, an event coming up. And, it is July 10th is coming up. There'll be a link in the show notes where you can download this PDF, but also there's going to be a link to the actual event to register. You can definitely bring friends and family. This is open to, a wide group of people because we feel like this is an important subject. And so, we want to, that's why we're having it at the Arts and Heritage Center on Metcalf Avenue. It's a big place. We did our client appreciation event there last year. And so we would love to pack the house with that. So again, that's going to be Wednesday, July 10th from 2 to 3 p.m. We will have light refreshments as an enticement, I guess. But Ryan Fickle, he's a chief technology officer of a company called Advisors Excel. Very fortunate to have been working with those guys for a long time. Say over 1,000 employees. I believe one of their entities manages about $26 billion. So can you imagine the security concerns of a company that large and with that many employees? And so I've seen we worked with him to put the presentation together, and I think people are really going to enjoy it. It's going to give you actionable things to take away to protect yourself. He's going to give a great update on what artificial intelligence is, what are the concerns, and also what are the benefits of it. So he's going to have a balanced presentation. It's not all gloom and doom, but we want people to leave there more knowledgeable with a plan of action and how to protect themselves and just go through and not be so scared of the unknown out there. So I think it's going to be a fantastic event, and we're looking forward to Mr. Ryan Fickle coming over and talking to all of our clients.
Well, I think that's the key, right? We can spend all day talking about all the ways they can get us, but I love the fact that people can come to this event and walk away with some actionable solutions. How can I respond? What protections can I put in place? What kind of level of fear do I need to really have about this stuff? And then how can I logically and practically approach the issue for myself and for loved ones too? I mean, I could see this being really important for people who want to help their parents or grandparents, even Scott, deal with as maybe they get less savvy with technology in older age. How can they're exposed to even more things that maybe younger folks can catch easier. So this is helpful to not only share for yourself but for other people in your life.
Absolutely.
That's great.
And that's why we're opening it up to guests and family members, non-clients, because we also see this as kind of a community service. Because if we can arm people with quality information that's actionable, and I think you said it perfectly, if they can pass some of that information on and have a rippling effect, have a positive effect on other people, then that's fantastic. We've done our job and we've served our clients, and we've made a positive impact in other people's lives with this.
Yep, very crucial. Again, we're going to link to the registration link so that you can attend this event. It's coming up on July 10th, as a reminder. That's going to be in the description of today's show, as well as a link to download the PDF guide that we've been talking about on this episode as well. So you can find all of that in the show description, or go to listentoscott.com, and you can find it there on the website as well. We'll have this post with this episode there and all those links as well. So however it's convenient for you to get there and check out that information, we've tried to make it as easy as possible for you to find. Well, Scott, thanks for the great details on cybersecurity. Looking forward to hearing how the event goes here in a couple of weeks, and we'll be chatting with you soon.
We'll give you an update. All right, Walter. All right. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, take care. This has been Your Retirement Elevated. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Investment advisory services offered through Elevated Capital Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Are you on the path to retirement but feel uncertain about your direction? Don't let myths and misconceptions cloud your journey. Before stepping into a lengthy retirement, gain clarity and confidence with a complimentary financial review. Schedule a conversation with Scott Dugan. It's completely free. Just click the link in the description below or call us at 913-393-4724. Let's start a conversation about what's most important to you as you plan for a successful retirement.